Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. Ever felt emotionally drained after a conversation, but couldn't quite explain why? Have you noticed that as you grow older, your priorities start to shift in unexpected ways? What if the real threat to your peace isn't what's outside, but who's sitting right next to you? Let me share something that's simple, yet deeply profound. As you get older, peace becomes more valuable than almost anything else. It's no longer about chasing promotions, fancy cars, or big houses. Those things start to lose their shine. What you begin to crave is inner calm. Waking up in the morning without that invisible storm cloud hanging over your head. And one of the fastest ways to lose that peace? Keeping people around who are constantly complaining. You know the ones I mean. The habitual complainer. The person who, no matter what's going right, will find what's wrong. They could be sitting in a warm, welcoming room surrounded by love, with food on the table and a roof over their head. But what do they focus on? The soup is too salty. The TV is too loud. There's always something. Now, we all have rough days. We all need to vent from time to time. That's normal. But I'm not talking about someone who occasionally needs a listening ear. I'm talking about those who have turned negativity into a way of life. For them, finding flaws is not just a habit, it's part of their identity. They see brokenness everywhere and act like they're the only ones who recognize it. What's hard is that these individuals don't usually mean harm, but they drain your energy all the same. They walk with a dark cloud over their heads, and if you're not mindful, they'll hand you an umbrella and expect you to stand in the storm with them. And here's the truth. Once you reach a certain age, you realize your emotional energy is limited. You can't afford to waste it. That doesn't mean you stop caring or lose your compassion. It simply means you stop making room for chronic negativity in your inner circle. I've sat down with men and women who've told me, I don't know why I feel so tired all the time. But when we peel back the layers, it often becomes clear. They're surrounded by voices that constantly drain them, voices that never speak life, hope, or possibility. And then, without even realizing it, every conversation starts to sound the same. It's no longer just catching up or sharing thoughts. It becomes a non-stop complaint session. They talk about how the world is falling apart, how no one cares anymore, how everything used to be better. It's like a broken record, playing the same tune over and over again. And here's the tricky part. The more you're around it, the more it gets into your head. That kind of repetition seeps into your thinking. Not because it's truth, but because it's familiar, and unfortunately, negativity spreads fast. It's a bit like having a leaky faucet in your home. At first, it's just a drop here and there. You might even ignore it. But over time, that steady drip becomes all you can hear, even when the rest of the room is silent. That's exactly what a chronic complainer does to your soul. They don't just voice frustrations, they draw you into the noise with them, until your inner stillness feels disrupted and restless. And here's the part you really need to remember. They're not looking for change. That's the difference that matters. A person who wants to grow might vent, but they'll quickly shift gears and ask, what can we do about it? They're seeking a way forward. But someone who's addicted to complaining? They're not looking for solutions. They've built a life around the problem. They've found identity in the frustration. They've made their home in disappointment, and they have no intention of leaving it behind. And you? You don't have to sit there with them. As you grow older, you start to understand something important. The people you give your time and energy to shape the atmosphere of your life. And your seat at the table, that's yours to choose. So choose it wisely. Choose to sit with people who elevate conversations, who speak with gratitude, who face life's challenges but still celebrate its blessings. Be around those who can find a spark of light, even in a dark room. Their optimism isn't naive, it's powerful. Avoid the constant complainer. Not because you think you're better, but because your peace is hard-earned. You've fought too many battles, endured too many storms, and healed from too many wounds to hand your calm away to someone who doesn't even want their own. You deserve space where peace is protected, where sunlight, not storm clouds, covers your days. Eventually, life teaches you to see people for who they truly are, not just for the face they show in public. When you're young, it's easy to overlook the signs, make excuses, or laugh things off. But maturity brings clarity. You stop pretending that every relationship is healthy just because it's familiar, But something shifts as you grow older. Your eyes become sharper, your instincts keener. You start noticing patterns that were once easy to overlook. And one of the clearest and most dangerous patterns you'll ever recognize is the presence of people who only show up when they need something. These are the takers. Now, let's be clear. Every relationship has moments of give and take. That's part of being human, part of being connected. You help a friend move, they're there for you when you need a hand. You offer a listening ear, and they do the same when life weighs you down. That's reciprocity. That's real connection. But takers don't operate like that. They see people differently. To them, you're not a friend, a companion, or a human being. You're a resource, a source of something they want. Your time, your energy, your attention, maybe even your money. It's all just fuel for their own fire. And the moment you stop supplying it, the illusion of friendship fades. You suddenly realize the relationship was never about connection. It was about consumption. I've seen it happen too many times, especially to the kind-hearted. The takers rarely announce themselves. They don't walk into your life waving red flags. No, they arrive with charm, with flattery, sometimes with a story that tugs at your soul. They speak softly, act humbly, and convince you that helping them is the right thing to do. And because you have a big heart, you lean in. You show up. You give. Again and again. You open your schedule, your wallet, your emotional bandwidth. You tell yourself, they're just in a rough season. They'll come around. But over time, if you're paying attention, you'll notice the pattern. Do they ever check in on you without needing something? Do they call just to say hello? Are they around when you're the one hurting? Or do they disappear the moment you have nothing left to offer? Because the truth is, once you're in the second half of life, your energy becomes sacred. You've spent decades pouring into others. You've endured loss, fought battles, carried burdens. You don't have the luxury of handing out pieces of your soul to people who never intend to give anything back. You've got to protect what's left, not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. And let's be honest, some of the most generous people I've ever met were also the most depleted. Why? Because they kept showing up for people who never showed up for them. Not because life itself had worn them down, but because people had. People who kept taking, over and over, without a second thought. No gratitude, no reciprocity. Just open hands and closed hearts. And the worst part? They never looked back. Not even a simple thank you. You've lived too much life, overcome too many challenges, and grown through too much pain to be surrounded by users who only know how to receive, not how to give. You deserve better than that. And here's something you need to know about takers. They're not always obvious. In fact, most of the time, they're not just draining you. They're quietly manipulating you. They know how to ask without really asking. They're skilled at dropping hints, pulling on your emotions, and making you feel responsible for their well-being. They'll guilt you with lines like, "You're the only one I can count on," or, "I just don't know who else to turn to." It sounds sincere, even noble, but more often than not, it's bait. Because the moment you give in and help them, they vanish. They slip back into the shadows until the next time they need something. It's a cycle, a loop of giving and disappearing that leaves you exhausted, emotionally overdrawn, and wondering how you got there in the first place. I've seen people lose their retirement savings trying to help someone they thought was in crisis. I've seen good-hearted men and women spend their golden years tangled in other people's drama, carrying stress that wasn't theirs to hold, all because they couldn't find the strength to say one small word, no. But let me tell you, saying no isn't selfish. It's sacred. When your peace is on the line, no becomes one of the most powerful tools you have. You're not being harsh. You're being wise. You're not being cruel. You're protecting what truly matters. You have precious time left, time to laugh with grandkids, to sit in the stillness of a peaceful evening, to enjoy the beauty of a sunset without a phone ringing off the hook. You have time to rest, to heal, to breathe deeply without being pulled into someone else's storm. That time is yours. Don't let it be hijacked by someone who sees you as a wallet, a solution, or a stepping stone. Love people, absolutely. But don't let that love blind you to misuse. Be compassionate, but set boundaries. Be open-hearted, but stay discerning. You've earned this chapter of life. You've earned your space. Don't fill it with those who only knock when they need something. Keep your door open, but only to those who see your worth, not just your resources. You don't owe access to anyone who doesn't show up for you, especially not in this season of your life. One of the most subtle but dangerous traps people fall into as they grow older is surrounding themselves with those who are stuck living in the past. Now let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with remembering. In fact, there's something deeply meaningful about honoring where you've come from. Telling your story, passing down lessons, reflecting on the journey, those are gifts. Those are sacred. But there's a fine line between healthy reflection and being frozen in time. And some people, they don't live in the present at all. They're emotionally anchored to a moment that passed decades ago. It could be something from 20, 30, even 50 years back, and they carry it like it happened just last week. And the problem? They don't just keep it for themselves. They'll try to pull you right back into that space with them. You probably know the type. No matter where the conversation begins, sports, weather, a memory about Sunday dinner, it always circles back to some old drama. An argument at the church picnic in 1987. That family feud that never really ended. The betrayal from a coworker 3 jobs ago. The wedding invitation they never received. It's like a loop that never breaks. They remember every detail, every slight, every word. And they carry it like proof, like armor, like a reason to stay bitter. At first, it might sound harmless, just someone reminiscing. But stay around long enough, and you'll notice something deeper. The conversation always turns heavy. It always spirals back into bitterness. And over time, it doesn't just wear them down, it starts to wear you down too. Because bitterness, when it's constantly spoken, has a way of seeping into the air around you. It's like secondhand smoke for the soul. The more you inhale it, the harder it becomes to breathe freely. That kind of resentment doesn't just linger, it spreads. And if you're not paying attention, you'll find yourself echoing those old grievances without even realizing it. The real danger is this: they don't just revisit the past. They rehearse it, over and over, like it's their favorite movie, even if the ending is painful. And every time they press play, they expect you to sit beside them and watch it again. But here's the truth: your life isn't a rerun. You weren't made to live and rewind. And this matters more than ever as you grow older. Because this should be the season where you finally breathe, where you lighten your load, not pick up old baggage. It's the time to be free. Free from lingering resentment, from invisible weight, from years of recycled negativity. You've earned peace. You've earned clarity. You don't need to spend your golden years trapped in someone else's unresolved pain. You've earned your right to peace. Truly, you've earned your right to live fully in the now, to soak in all that today has to offer without being weighed down by what's already behind you. But when you keep company with those who stay trapped in yesterday's shadows, you start to lose sight of the light shining in the present. And what's even more surprising, it's not just the gossipers and grudge holders who get stuck in the past. Sometimes it's the people who idealize the past that end up doing the most harm. They talk as if the best days are already gone. You've heard it before: back in my day. Their tone might be warm, nostalgic even, but underneath it is a quiet refusal to embrace the goodness of now. Yes, there are things from the past worth honoring, traditions that carry wisdom, moments that deserve remembrance. But when the past is used as a weapon to criticize the present, it stops being a memory and starts becoming a wall. Because here's the truth: every generation has its flaws, and every era has its light. The world does change, sometimes rapidly, sometimes slowly. But not everything new is bad, and not everything old was perfect. Wisdom isn't about rejecting change or clinging to old ways blindly. It's about knowing what to carry forward and what to let go of. And that takes discernment. That takes maturity. That takes presence. But people who are stuck in the past, they don't make that distinction. They hold on to everything: the victories and the wounds, the joy and the resentment. Even the things that hurt them, even the things they should have laid down long ago, become part of their identity. I've sat across from people who've spent their later years revisiting the same pain they experienced in their 20s. A moment, a conflict, a betrayal, still alive in their memory like it happened yesterday. And what does that do? It drains them. It steals from them. It robs them of joy, of connection, of true peace. Because you can't fully receive the beauty of now when your heart is cluttered with what should have been healed, forgiven, or simply released. Your emotional hands can't grasp what today offers if they're still clutching yesterday's bitterness. That's why you must be careful, intentional, about who you allow to speak into your life. Your days are too valuable, too sacred, to be shared with people who can't see beyond what once was. Surround yourself with those who celebrate the present, who believe in what's still possible, who recognize the beauty unfolding right now. Don't tie your spirit to people who only know how to live and rewind. Life's too short to be stuck hitting the same emotional replay button over and over. Instead, seek out those who speak about ideas, not drama. Look for people who see potential instead of just pointing out problems, who are grounded in the present and brave enough to fully embrace it. Because at this stage of your life, the past is supposed to be a teacher, not a home. Learn from it, honor it, even cherish the wisdom it gave you, but don't pitch a tent there. And above all, don't let anyone drag you back into a season you've already grown out of. Your future still matters. Yes, even now. Something subtle but powerful happens as the years go by, something that catches many people off guard. You begin to realize that peace isn't just a nice bonus to have. It becomes essential. After everything you've walked through, all the losses, the lessons, the heartbreaks and hopes, you start craving something simpler. Not smaller, but deeper. You want space to breathe, to reflect, to live quietly but meaningfully. But then, there's always that one kind of person, the one who barges in and disturbs that peace with their constant critiques and loud opinions. They show up not with love, but with lists. Lists of what you should have done, how you should be living, and all the ways they think you've fallen short. They never ask how you're doing. They just tell you what you're doing wrong. You know the type. They don't celebrate your small wins, they minimize them. You say you've started walking in the mornings, and they scoff. That's not real exercise. You mention you're trying to eat better, and they roll their eyes like it's pointless. You share a book, a movie, something that brings you joy, and they act like it's beneath them. Their words aren't rooted in love. They're rooted in superiority. It's never really about helping you. It's about controlling the narrative. They criticize to feel powerful, not to support. And the most frustrating part? They often don't even see the harm they cause. In their minds, they're always right. They truly believe it's their job to fix you, to shape everyone around them to reflect their own standards and worldview. But here's what age and wisdom teach you. Life isn't looking for more critics. It's starving for encouragers, listeners, quiet souls who don't need to correct you, but simply walk beside you. What the world truly needs more of is encouragers. Life doesn't need people who try to shame you into change. It needs those who love you into growth. Gently, consistently, with compassion. And often, the hardest part is this. Sometimes, the very people who chip away at your peace are the ones closest to you. They may be family. That makes the choice even more complicated. You want to keep things calm, keep the peace, so you stay quiet. You bite your tongue. But deep down, their constant judgment begins to wear on you. It gets under your skin. You start second-guessing your choices. That small moment of joy you had suddenly turns into self-doubt. And that's the real loss. Not the argument you avoided, but the peace you didn't get to feel. The joy that was stolen before it ever had the chance to fully bloom. By this point in life, you've earned something sacred, the right to live your life on your own terms. You've walked through fire that no one else saw. You've carried burdens quietly, sacrificed silently, and endured moments of heartbreak that still echo today. That kind of life comes with a price, and it comes with wisdom. So if you want to go to bed early, wake up late, book that trip, or simply sit in your favorite chair listening to the rain hit the windows, do it. Without apology. Don't let anyone's disapproval shrink your spirit. You've already spent too many years worrying about other people's opinions. The truth is, the people who are quickest to judge your decisions are usually the ones who never had to carry your burdens. They weren't there when those tough calls had to be made. They didn't feel the weight of your circumstances. They didn't stand in your shoes. It's always easier to criticize from the sidelines. But life isn't lived from the bleachers. It's lived down in the dirt, on the field, where the hard plays happen. And those who've really played the game? They know better than to judge someone else's journey. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who get it. People who celebrate your progress, who respect your choices, who understand that different doesn't mean wrong. You need voices around you that remind you it's never too late to enjoy your life. That rest is not laziness. That your worth was never tied to how much you do, but to who you are. And if someone can't offer that kind of grace, if their words always wound, always belittle, then it's okay to take a step back. It's not unkind. It's necessary. Because these later chapters of life, they should be full of joy, full of freedom, full of laughter. not tiptoeing around someone who believes they always know best. You're not in this season of life to prove yourself anymore. You've already done that, over and over again. You've shown your strength, your loyalty, your resilience. Now, you're here to live. To truly live. And to live well, you've got to tune out the voices that only exist to tear you down. Let them talk. Let them whisper, point fingers, pass judgment. That's their choice. But don't let their noise define your worth. You don't need their permission to enjoy your life. You only need the courage to live it fully, unapologetically, and on your terms. But here's the tricky part. Some people don't show up in your life as critics. They're not loud. They're not argumentative. They're not overtly negative. In fact, they might come across as kind, even fragile, maybe a little helpless. But make no mistake, they can drain you all the same. Quietly, subtly, without even realizing it, they start pulling at your peace. I call them energy vampires. These are the people who don't take your money or your possessions. No, they take something far more valuable, your strength, your focus, your sense of calm. And by the time you notice it, it's already gone. You're left wondering why you feel so tired after spending time with them, why your mood shifts even when nothing bad was said. Now, to be fair, not all of them mean to drain you. Some truly don't see it, but their impact remains. Every conversation feels heavy, not because life is hard, we all face battles, but because they refuse to grow through it. Their problems come without progress. Their sadness comes without seeking comfort or healing, only attention. And their drama? It's never just a passing storm. It's a permanent forecast, a dark cloud they've chosen to live under. And somehow, you've been handed the umbrella. They expect you to stand beside them through every downpour, to keep giving support while they never step out of the rain. And maybe when you were younger, you had the energy to be that person. You could talk for hours, absorb their emotions, offer advice, even rearrange your day to help them carry their burden. But as you grow older, you begin to notice something. Your energy is no longer unlimited, and your peace becomes sacred. You start to understand that not everyone deserves full access to your heart, your time, or your spirit. There's a clarity that comes with age, a quiet wisdom that whispers, not everyone gets to come with you. Now, some people may call you selfish for setting boundaries. They might guilt you, question you, even make you feel like you're being cold or distant. But the truth is, protecting your energy isn't selfish at all. It's survival. It's stewardship of your inner peace. Because when someone is constantly pulling on you, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually, it doesn't take long before it starts to wear you down. You begin to feel it in your body. You're more tired than usual, less inspired. Your joy starts fading without explanation. You might even catch yourself second-guessing your own heart. You wonder, am I being too harsh? Am I doing enough? But hear me, love doesn't mean sacrificing yourself completely. You were never created to carry someone else's emotional load day in and day out. That's not compassion. That's imbalance. And imbalance leads to burnout. What makes it even harder is that energy vampires often appear in disguise. They don't come to your door demanding attention. No, they come wrapped in need, in softness, in stories of helplessness. It all starts with something small, just a little favor, a little help. But help becomes habit, and habit becomes obligation. Before you know it, their chaos becomes your routine. They start calling at odd hours, texting constantly, showing up when you least expect it. If you don't respond right away, they make you feel like you've let them down. And the more you give, the more they expect, because they're not really seeking support. They're looking for someone to carry their burdens for them. Every moment, every decision, every ounce of stability they lack, they try to pull it from you. I've seen it happen so many times. Good-hearted people pour everything they've got into someone, thinking they're doing the right thing. They believe they're helping, rescuing, loving well. But what do they get in return? More drama, more need, more excuses. And in the process, they lose pieces of themselves. They lose their clarity. They lose their spark. And sometimes, they even lose their joy. But here's what we must remember. In this season of life, your focus should be on restoration, not depletion. You've earned the right to recharge, to rediscover peace, to reclaim your time. Don't hand that gift over to someone who only knows how to take. You've spent a lifetime giving, your time, your effort, your strength. Decades of showing up, pushing through, sacrificing for others. You've carried burdens with quiet resilience, fought through seasons of hardship, and kept going when no one else saw the cost. And now, finally, this season belongs to you. This is your time to breathe deeply, to reflect honestly, to enjoy freely, and to pour your energy into people who actually pour back into you. That doesn't mean turning your back on those who are struggling. Compassion doesn't disappear with age. But wisdom teaches you the difference between someone who's trying to climb and someone who's already decided to fall and is reaching out only to pull you down with them. That distinction matters more than ever. The truth is, energy vampires don't thrive on healing. They thrive on sympathy. They want you to nod, to comfort, to validate, but not to challenge, not to speak truth. They're not looking to grow. They're looking to stay stuck, and they want you stuck with them. That's why you must become intentional with the company you keep, who you allow into your heart, your thoughts, your space. That's sacred. Choose people who lift the room when they walk in. The ones who make you laugh so hard you forget why you were stressed. People who show up with joy in their hands and empathy in their hearts. The kind of people who don't just expect to be carried, but know how to carry others when the time comes. Those are the relationships that nourish your soul. And here's something important. If you always feel drained after spending time with someone, don't ignore it. That's not just a bad mood. That's not a coincidence. That's your spirit sending you a signal, saying, pay attention. Listen to that quiet voice. Honor it. And if it's telling you to step back, then do it, without guilt. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you've finally started caring for yourself, your health, your joy, your peace of mind. At this stage in life, peace isn't a luxury. It's a non-negotiable. You've earned that peace, and you have every right to protect it. Wishing you health, happiness, and clarity. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more wisdom to guide your journey.